Okie dokie. I am recording, and let's see if I'm getting an echo there. So I am Sadaka. This is, what is this? Circle of Spirit, Queer Questions, Sacred Answers. Almost forgot there for a second. Today we have Philip Chang. I am Sadaka with Naona.com. I just launched my website. It's still kind of in its infancy. I'm doing this in partnership with the fabulous folks over at the Orange Dragonfly Center. And there you can find different meditations, daily meditations, different courses that you can take, and awesome stuff in the spiritual vein of things. So this is supposed to be a casual conversation. Whether there are people here or not, we're having different interviews. Next week, I am going to interview somebody else who is in the pagan vein of things. Today, we have Philip Chang, who is an intuitive energy healer, which is very in line with the stuff that I do myself. I just got through doing an energy healing session for somebody, and some wonderful things came up and happened during that session. And so I would very much like to talk to you about how this is a viable form of therapy, viable form of healing for people, and that it's not just airy-fairy nothingness, positive thinking, or placebo effect type stuff that is occurring here. That we are powerful people, capable people who have talents and skills who can actually help people move through trauma, release emotional blockages, and all of that good stuff. But before we get to that, I just wanted to ask you and talk to you about your background, Philip. And, what kind of, I'm going to pin you, what kind
Okay.
of spiritual background did you grow up with? What kind of framework did you have? Was your family spiritual? Were you spiritual? Were you like, oh, this is stupid, I don't do it? Or, did you grow up in a completely secular environment and see psychic things happen all the time? It's a grab bag for people when I ask this question.
Yeah. For me, it was a little bit of a weird situation because in the beginning of I would say, my childhood, I was the first Chinese family that actually in Chinatown that um, was part of a divorce. So
Oh,
everybody knew, okay, my mom was like the first woman to divorce her husband and things like that. And she wouldn't be like the submissive woman in the house. And for spirituality, it kind of like left from there. Meaning like my mom didn't have like an identity of what she wanted to do, but there was also my paternal grandmother that really was into the ancient like Chinese tradition where there is an altar in the house that we would sort of like on occasions would say like we're praying to the ancestors. And then like, okay, from there, I really didn't understand it. It's like I just participated in it because okay, I needed the family structure because everybody just again knew that Philip was the kid that didn't have a dad in the house. And then it's like, okay, we're gonna look down on like his family because that's like a taboo in the Chinese culture type of
mhm.
situation. In terms of like myself, I would say that early on, I just have been like seeing things like I would always like dismiss as coincidence, and also like it just didn't matter to me. And what I've actually been learning in the last few years was that my family needed to bind everything. They wanted me to live in a really normal environment. So they didn't want me to do any like seeing or any type of reading. So they said, okay, we're just gonna go to a shaman, or in the Chinese community, we'd actually call it a spiritual doctor type of situation, where
Mm.
they do like all these offerings and things like that. Then they help you like bind the powers that you already have in I would say innately have already within all of us.
So they specifically bound powers up within you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. So,
So, so
so you had some stuff switched on just naturally, and they didn't want you to be a psychic or something.
ex- exactly.
Oh, that's
It's just,
fascinating. Okay.
yeah, I was actually born that way. As I've been learning, is just that on my mom's side, she's very intuitive, but she she denies it so much. It's like, so she passed it on to me. And then on my father's side, it's actually, again, as I've learned a little bit more about him, it's also on his side. So I get it from both sides. His was more like, okay, my paternal grandmother was recruited to do like the things that I was talking about, like the spiritual doctor things when she was growing up. So she learned on like if you watch like say um, anime or any of the Chinese like stuff, they would sort of like draw little pictures of like on a sheet of paper to sort of like say, okay, you know what, this is not like available for you. And she learned all that, and also talking to spirits as well.
Okay. I do apologize that my connection is a little unstable. So if it drops out or if I miss parts of the conversation, I might ask you to repeat some things.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's an interesting basis to come from. You know, like most
Mhm.
people either, especially in this country, you know, grow up Christian and they're totally involved in it, and then they find out that they're queer or gay or sexually fluid or whatever the case may be, and sort of like get away from it. I hear that story a lot. It's different to me to hear a story of somebody who is already immersed in traditional cultures. And we tend to think of like especially Chinese culture as being very superstitious, being like having all of these magical elements and whatnot, and being a little more out there with the spirituality, you know, at least in the Western mind, I suppose. So it's interesting to me that they would try to block you from that and be like, no, we're not going to carry on that tradition or anything. Or even with
Yeah.
your grandmother too. Like that's a unique situation too.
Oh yes, it's just that the I would say the stereotype of like Chinese is just that we want to fit into society, so we're really like quiet and everything like that, and that actually blends into spirituality as well. So we don't want to talk about like Philip seeing like things that isn't like really that everybody sees, and then next thing you
Mhm.
know, it's like it hinders me a little bit more instead of like saying, okay, it's helping me in my life.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead just a little bit.
No, no, no. Is it go with your own flow? You know that's what we're all about. Just letting our hair down and having a conversation. Um, so, do you feel that the bindings that they did on you actually worked, and that kept you from having psychic visions or having that sort of intuitive spirituality come through for you for a while? Or?
Yes, it did work, but it caused like this emptiness and like something was missing in me.
Mm.
It's just that each either when the binding like loosens, well, I'm going to use my hands. When binding loosens, what my grandmother did was find the same person to do, go back and do the offerings and also do the binding like once more. And then it's like, okay, you know what? I'm coming into my own like self a little bit more. I'm like saying, okay, you know what, that's kind of weird. It's like there's something standing in the corner, etc. And then it's like, okay, you know, he's seeing things again, let's go and find this lady and see what's going on type of thing. Is it like the binding or is it another thing that's already happening?
Yeah, that's interesting, especially just like in modern reports or whatever, people will go to like a Reiki practitioner or a shaman to have something done and then end up with worse problems that they had before because of trying to get rid of the thing that was bothering them in the first place. I think that's a little overlooked in today's like spiritual healing environment at first of all, you really have to vet the person who's doing it for you. And that especially if you're trying to block your natural abilities, that you're going to be hindering something that should happen to you in the first place, you know?
Right.
So how did you start to switch on? How did you start to get into spirituality again? You know, I know that you've been involved in a couple of questionable organizations over the few years, you know, that didn't turn out to be so positive, you know. So can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes, my interest actually starts like picking up in college. So it's like, okay, I'm like away a little bit more away from home. So I actually try, say, going to church, or I shouldn't say going to church, but it's more like, you know, there's support groups or prayer groups, as they call it, in college, where they so like just go around like missionaries. It's like, okay, let me just sort of like pray for you, and they invite me to like this prayer group, and of course it's like JP talked about, it's about food. It's like, okay, let's eat kind of thing. So it's like I say, let's go eat, but I still didn't feel comfortable with the fact that we're doing all these type of ritual things before we ate and then things like that. And I was also becoming I began to explore my sexuality in college. I was a late bloomer, by the way. And it's like I say that because it's just that spirituality and also sexuality, it's kind of like I found that it's more like in unison with one another as well. So I began like
Hmm.
exploring like both things at the same time. And of course, back in the 1990, this was when there was this group, I forgot what it's called. It's more empowerment for queers. It's called ACT UP. Yeah, it it actually exemplified like the pink triangle a lot. So it's like a lot of people, and myself included, decided to go out and protest and say, okay, you know what, we're queer and everything like that. We're going to try make everybody believe that we're like great and everything like that. But still, it didn't resonate with me as much. And that's where spirituality kind of like comes in. I'm like, again, going back to the spirituality now. It's when I started doing the ACT UP thing, it's like, okay, it felt like it was more of a cult thing again, because again, I'm like this quiet Chinese person trying to break out and saying, you know what, you guys have to be accepting of all queer people or else kind of thing. And it was really
Hmm.
like a weird movement back then, by the way, with like ACT UP, if you don't know a little bit of the history of that one.
I don't know the specific history of that, but I can sort of catch on to the vibe of it, you know, and I think it's an important thing to bring up, especially in today's environment, because I think there are a lot of queer folks out there who want something more and they want to feel a sense of connection and community and belonging. And that is traditionally what spirituality has done for people, at least spirituality in a greater sense, you know, either having a church or having a temple or something like that. That's where everybody gathers and everybody has similar thoughts and opinions and beliefs and practices and all of that. And we don't have that anymore unless we do go to church or we join a type of group that believes the same things that we do and actively tries to promote those ideas, you know. So if it's like you're today, you know, going to protests and you're doing all these things to try to feel like a greater sense of empowerment and belonging, and yet you still feel empty inside because there's just something that feels off about it. Or I mean, to me, it's even in the title, like ACT UP. I don't want to act up. I don't want to have to get angry and protest and do all this stuff out there, because that to me is contrary with the spiritual teachings that we're all taught about from day one, you know. So
Right. So the premise of it like is exactly like what you're talking about. They took it like the pink triangle, just a little bit of history about pink triangle. The pink triangle, they stamped it on the Jews in the concentration camps. And what ACT UP did was that they said, okay, we're using it to bring awareness to the queer community, and we're going to like push it into everybody's faces as well. And
Right.
I think that the organization like died down like after a few years of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the late 1990s.
Mm-hmm. No, I remember that when when I was first coming out, that was a thing, and people were using the pink triangle to identify themselves as gay or queer, and I don't see that anywhere anymore. You know, I
Exactly.
just thought it was a thing. It just became the rainbow, and now everybody uses that.
Right.
So what happened for you after that? You were in college. You were exploring your sexuality and like feeling dismayed about the movements that you were getting involved in. How did you get switched on to spirituality?
I took another like sabbatical from that. It's like, okay, I knew that I was seeing things. I kept it really silent from everybody. I didn't want anybody to know. And also, again, grandma noticed and she went again to the healing or spiritual doctor and said, okay, we actually have to do something more. And so basically, I just tried to blend in. And that actually happened like another, I would say, 10 years because my complete spiritual awakening happened in my 30s. I was again a little bit of a late bloomer. I had like a full-blown seizure and I actually fell over, and everybody thought that I was dying and everything like that. And I thought I was dying. It's like it happened like 3 days before Chinese New Year. So that actually like added another taboo on to like me and also my community. It's like everybody thought that Philip was possessed, he's gonna die kind of thing.
I love it. Yeah.
And then it's like again, grandma did all the things, but in the from that time on, I so like felt that the binding didn't work because I was actually loosening it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to understand like what happened to me, and this is where it gets like the cult thing that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was all into martial arts. I love martial arts like um to a T. It's just that I went to this person that I found that talked about fighting spirits, and then he had this art form that he learned from one of his masters, and then he was teaching it in the wrong way.
Uh,
um,
okay.
the little backstory of it is that when I went to him, he was more of a narcissist. He would berate everybody for making like a little bit of like mistakes and everything like that, and he really had this crazy system where he wanted like, okay, the new people are considered junior students, and then the people that has been there longer as senior students. But sometimes the senior students didn't know what they were doing as well. So he would just like berate the pretty much like everybody in the class, and then the energy of it was like transferred over to the students. And what happened was the students were pretty much like fighting amongst each other to get like his respect and everything like that and his awe. And but the funny thing is, and I guess this is how cult works, is that we bought into it and we paid him to teach us like each set and everything like that. And then we kept on continuing. But all the while, I'm like wondering, it's like, why am I so angry? Yes, I'm an angry person back then, but I was like getting like rageful. So
Mm-hmm.
one day I just said, okay, I can't take this anymore. And
Hmm.
then it's like I left because I was like arguing with one of this senior student, quote unquote. And then next thing know, drop out. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, his master, the person that was teaching, came down and then looked at everybody and said, "You know what? This is being shut down like right now."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what it is about. I mean, he was a Westerner, right? He was a West.
No, I say this. I'm going to try to say this like neutrally. He was a Chinese Japanese Jew, so
Wow. Okay. Well, that's an
he's
interesting combination.
he's Japanese by name. So he went back and traced his ancestry to having some Chinese blood and also heritage. Then he himself like went through like the spiritual thing. He went from Mormon to Orthodox Jew. It's like all
Oh,
in
okay.
like one like year, and then he said his family was also Jewish as well. So,
Wow.
we don't really know if his family is Jewish, kind of thing, but we just
Yeah.
accepted it. So when we
Well,
would actually have like a discussion about like just spirituality, like what we're talking, what we're doing here about, like say the um, Jewish faith, he would sort of like be the person that asks us, "Well, what do you know about it?" kind of thing, and then it's like we're expecting him to sort of like just contribute and so like say, "Hey, this is what Judaism like teaches" and things like that. But he would sort of like just shut off. And with
yeah.
his teaching, it was also the same thing. Okay, the masters don't want us to know, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we would just be following like blindly.
Right. No, it's fascinating to me. And I don't know, like whatever his origins or wherever he grew up or whatever his heritage, like to me that still sounds like a very Western approach to things, at least in the sense that I have been in some groups like that before, and it was total narcissism, total ego driven, energy around these people. And the people around the main leader of those groups, they just suck it up and they become little offshoots of that ego. I went into this one and I still do the practice today, except that I had to go back and research. This is before AI tools, and figure out where this practice actually came from, find a foundation for theory, because he gave us absolutely no theory. He was a white guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, and he taught it, and he was very, very powerful. Like you could feel the energy, and all these people were opening up and having releases and stuff, and people were just like magnets or like flies, like bees to honey, around him. And I went in there. A friend of mine had told me to go to this group, learn this practice. It's the most amazing thing ever. You're going to open up spiritually. And I did on my own. But my experience going into the group, this one girl comes up to me and she was a friend of a friend. And so she was supposed to take care of me during this entire, experience. It was like a weekend course or whatever. And she starts doing energy work on me. And she's like, "What's in there?" And she's like, doing work on my chest, and I was like, I don't know, I smoke, and she's like, "I do not need to clear this out for you," and just walks away, and I'm like, Okay, well, thanks for making me feel like shit, And then I'm sitting over to this other group like the second day or something like that, and they're just like all these beautiful, like pretty LA people, and they're just like doing their thing in this hotel room, and opening people up spiritually. Apparently, it's just like flinging energy all over the place. This person's crying, this person's screaming, this person's doing that, and they're like, "You are really dehydrated. You need to go drink some water." And I'm like, okay, I'll go drink some water. And so I found myself like shriveling in the corner, next to the water fountain, just like sipping water. I'm like, I'm here to learn stuff, not to be like judged, And it was just that constant thing. Like maybe a year and a half later, the friend who had gotten me into that practice, and as far as I knew, he was hanging out with these people all the time. He's like, "I want absolutely nothing to do with those people. I cannot even stand to think about them, because all they were doing was feeding into their group leader's ego. They all thought they were the shit because they had, you know, developed some personal abilities. They were opening up in different ways, but there was no foundation. There was no real teaching involved. There were no ethical or moral principles that should be the bastion of spiritual systems. You know, there was nothing actually spiritual about it. They were just figuring out how to tweak their energy bodies and have experiences, you know.
Right.
Yeah. It sounds like a similar thing to me. And I really find that it's just kind of like, it's just a hallmark of Westerners who take a system, they learn it, but they really don't understand it. Ooh, root beer. Thank you. They really don't understand it.
Where's mine?
Magical root beer. I can manifest well, right? Yeah. They really don't understand the system, but then they start passing it on to others without an actual basis of understanding, and it just gets completely ruined, you know. So I find it interesting that in what you were doing, the actual master comes in and goes, no, shut it down. You know?
There's another backstory behind it. It's just that when everybody was pitted against one another, everybody still wanted to learn the art form of the martial arts. So everybody, after he shut it down, there was this one girl that actually went to Hawaii. That's where the master was, and asked him if he would teach everybody else. I didn't want to be a part of it anymore because it was just that it got too weird. It was what it was. And I just said, okay, you guys do your own thing. And then I'll just do my own thing anymore from now on. And I just don't want anything to deal with like these people, because it's just that we all have like these energy within us, and then everybody was a little bit like psychic too, and we're all seeing like beings around one another, and then having them attack each other and things like that. So there were like beings as well fighting amongst one another too.
Yeah, you better believe that anybody who's doing that kind of stuff without like real training, or even like a blessing from the master of the lineage or whatever, there's all kinds of dark entities hanging around those people. You know?
Oh yeah.
Can you talk more about that? Well, how did you get out of that, and what happened for you after that? Like, how did you start training in what you're doing now?
From there, after leaving that, I just felt again empty, like something was missing. So I went through, I would say, a lot of like modalities to look for something that actually resonated with me. I did try to do Reiki, but I was told okay, that's not for you. Then I found somebody online. She was also Chinese, but she also did this crazy thing where she wanted you to not eat, only drink tea for 3 days and things like that, and 3 days and 3 nights, while she helps you clear energy and also contracts and everything like that. And I did it. Her program is 3 days, and then it's I believe 90 days after you have to follow the routine. So what I did was I jumped ahead and followed the routine. So the routine is that you're supposed to only become a vegan. And you're not supposed to eat any type of meat. You're supposed to drink this blessed tea that she actually gave, not gave, but you actually purchased. But you have to drink it what is it? Either 6 times a day, and it has to be both sets of tea. It's yin and yang tea, and yes, it actually cleared a lot of things, including having me drop to 99 pounds. So people were thinking that Philip again is dying and he's possessed and things like that.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But that's when I decided, okay, what if there was something different? So I attended a men's group that was just helping people become themselves. it was geared towards more heterosexual men. So I went into that class, and throughout the class, um, I was actually seeing so much energy around me, and also like before the teacher would say anything, I would be able to already pick it up, and then everybody was like wondering what's going on. How come this guy knows like so much stuff already? Has he been in the course for so long? But I didn't tell anybody that I was intuitive, I was a psychic, and things like that. I can see, except for the teacher. It's like then it got around like he told his partner, then his partner would so like always ask me, well, so what do you see? It's like I see a lot of things. But then it didn't resonate again with them because of the fact that I was, how did I put it? They thought that I was being arrogant when I was supposed to be like submissive and follow their program.
Yeah.
And but the thing that was good about that, it brought me into like recognizing, how do I put it, recognizing that I am spiritual and I do see things, because throughout this whole entire like class, I was kind of like I was in conversation with a student's or a classmate's dead brother. It's like he's standing like behind the guy, and I'm staring at him, and being queer and everything like that, if you stare at a guy, what does that mean? You actually probably want him or something like that.
Yeah.
But here I am staring at the guy, like, and he was getting really uncomfortable, and I was actually like in conversation with like his dead brother. It's like, and I didn't know this, but I was like talking to him like a normal person, like, what are you doing here? Who are you? Type of situation. And fast forward like 3 days after the class, the classmate sent out this email that said, okay, 3 days ago, my brother died of a drug overdose. And I was like, okay, I was almost like dying in my own seat, because I was like, okay, I'm freaking out again. And it's like, I'm really owning this now. It's like I'm a psychic. I can sort of like see things, and there's no binding anymore. So I was like, okay, I have to find like what this is about. So again, I went through another deep dive like into Dr. Google and Googled everything. It's like, but then there was this meetup that actually came about when I was searching, and it's actually my current teacher. She said, you can come in and try it out. If you don't like it, you don't actually have to pay. And that's actually what resonated with me. Nobody has ever sort of like been that honest to me that said I can actually try this, and if I don't like it, she would sort of like say, okay, this is not for you, and she would actually give me back my money. It was only $20 at the time, but it was like, okay, somebody that was had that integrity to say, okay, if you don't like it, you don't have to sort of like continue. It was no like, okay, you have to do this because of the fact that you're a psychic kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Nobody trying to pressure you into a sale. Nobody trying to pressure you into a specific form, or, doing all these things all the time, or becoming vegan or whatever. It's like, one shaman that I was working with in the past refused to eat garlic or onions, because that was part of his tradition. But he's like, if that doesn't resonate with you, eat garlic and onions. It doesn't matter, this is just part of my thing,
Right. So from there is just that I have continued to take classes with her just to understand like even further, like, who am I kind of thing. The question that most people like ask, and I shouldn't so like say most people, I should say I ask. Like, who am I? Why am I here on the earth, I should say, and what is my purpose on this earth? So that's where I began like helping people like this deciphering that. and also like, helping them release the energy and also any type of trauma that is stuck in their body from, like, say, not being able to be accepting of your own spirituality or even your psychic powers.
Mm-hmm.
And that has actually, like, okay, opened up a lot more for me, meaning like, there's a phrase that my teacher says. It's similar to the wounded healer phrase. It's like when you give a healing, you actually receive a healing as well, instead of like, okay, you're completely just working on your clients. You're actually also working on yourself, because there are similarities that you both like have at this point that needs to be cleared for you and for the person too.
Mm-hmm. No, I very much resonate with that. I feel like it's a hallmark of the new age. I don't mean the new age movement, just like the age of Aquarius, if you want to talk about it, or in the Vedic cycles, moving out of the Kali Yuga, blah 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 blah, or the end of the Mayan calendar, or whichever mythos you want to take. But like, I do feel that we're coming into a new place, a new space, a new time, a new age, a new aeon. And that it's no longer the archetype of the wounded healer, it's sort of like the Piscean age or whatever, and Christ giving himself for the entire world, and it's, oh, I must suffer, and this sacrifice is the exchange of energy. All of a sudden, it's just a mutual exchange, and it can be positive. I've heard a lot of healers tell me that that the whole thing is changing now, and I have never resonated with the whole sacrificial thing, that you need to give something else up. You have to cut off your arm in order to reach enlightenment or whatever. And I literally just had an experience like you were just talking about. Just before we did this call, I was doing an energy healing transmission and initiation for somebody, and he had all of these emotional things that come up. While I was doing it, I literally felt this resonance between the two of us, and I was like, oh, he has those kind of issues, that kind of trauma that he's working through. That's exactly the same type of trauma that I have, and so as I'm like sending this energy, I'm like, okay, I have to keep myself from not getting too caught up in my own stuff, because it was healing me as well, and so just having that resonant experience with somebody, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that should be the framework for most energy healers going forward these days.
So the thing is with healing, I have to sort of like say this is just with healing. It doesn't mean like you have to give up something, like you were just saying. It's just that for myself, I still have a little bit of my grandmother's tradition where the altar thing. Is just that I do still do like similar to All Saints Day and also the Day of the Dead for the Mexicans as well. I still do that for like the Chinese. There's like a few like dates that I don't remember right now, which is actually coming up. I think there's like this like ghost month like that is coming up that I still believe a little bit in it, but I don't go to the extreme of like, dancing in the street or like doing anything like weird. It's just more of a personal, like, say, I put out chicken for like the family that has already passed to the other side, and then say, okay, you know what, come over, but you guys have to leave afterwards, kind of thing. Like regular family.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I love that. The first guy I interviewed, Ben Stimpson, he wrote a book called Ancestral Whispers, and that's literally what he's talking about, doing ancestor veneration and developing your own personal practice or whatever to do that. I think it's very important. I know a lot of psychics and healers, mediums in particular, will talk about the United States, in general, and the Western world. And because we've lost so much connection with our ancestors, because we've lost veneration practices and so on, and so many people are just scientific materialist atheists these days. They don't believe that anything happens when you die. they just get stuck after they pass. And there's just all these spirits that have no idea where to go, no idea what to do, and they're just milling about in the astral. And this is why so many people get these negative entity attachments and whatnot, and parts of their ancestors that stick around for way too long, not knowing what to do. And we used to be the ones to guide them. Here, have this ceremony every single year. Say, hey, go off into the light, or whatever the case may be. Do your thing, or take care of them. Mexicans give them Coca-Cola because so many Mexicans love Coca-Cola, like that kind of stuff. And that's part of my practice at home, and my partners too.
Oh, okay. My grandfather was a avid smoker, so one of my grandmother's friends, when they go do the gravesite visits, would burn the whole entire pack of cigarettes out there too.
That's awesome. That's what I want when I die. Just somebody bring me a pack of Luckies.
Oh, geez.
smoke the whole thing. Thanks, honey. I can move on now. Yeah.
There is like I think there is another tobacco in Mexico that you might actually like, beer shit. It's called beer shit, the brand.
No, that's awesome. I'll have to try it someday. Okay, so I probably should have addressed this earlier. You did mention the pink triangle thing and the act out and all of that, but how does queerness factor into your spirituality? How did that change you? It could just even be as light as starts making you question things way earlier than some people do.
For me, I did share this with Marshall like a few days ago. I am actually spiritual. I'm sorry. Yeah, let me use the word spiritual and also sexually fluid. So it's just that I don't believe that, it has to be like sex with a man or sex with a woman. And it's just that I got, how do I say it? I got like exercise from like, or excommunicated from like both sides, meaning like, okay, the heterosexuals would so like say, you must be gay. And then the gay community would so like say, okay, Philip, you're, just playing the field, or like just gay baiting or something like that. Or, and there's also this one question that my friend used to so like ask. He's actually gay. He so like asked me, are you just unsure, kind of thing? And I asked him back, are you also unsure that you're gay? And he actually just all like starts laughing. So he never he stopped asking me that question. So I would say with spirituality, that's the same thing. It's like, I had this experience, let's see, I think it was like a few years ago, where I was sitting right after like my last Starbucks run of my whole entire life. It's just that I had 2 cups of like Starbucks. I think it was a venti or something like that, the largest one. And what I did was I went home and I just like felt a little bit weird and things like that. So I was sitting on the couch, and next thing you know, I'm physically seizing. But in spiritual terms, I was transported to this cave, and I saw like this whole entire like energy field like around me, and I'm hearing like cycle of life. And later on, I found out that that was a full Kundalini like awakening, where it's like, okay, you were ready for something to be cleared, and you were transported there just to see like you're not alone in everything in the world, and the energies all around you is what it's actually been telling you, and you don't have to be afraid of it. So how I blend the two together is that, with that experience, of course, it's again going back to, again, I'm weird. It's like, okay, I'm seeing things that other people don't see. And in the physical sense, it's like, okay, I'm possessed and everything like that. But then it's like I bring back my own spiritual fluidity. Is that when I understood that it doesn't have to be like, okay, you know what, um, I'm going to be secular, or I'm going to be like a Christian or a Buddhist or something like that. That's
Mhm.
when things like kind of like opened up a lot more for me, meaning like, okay, I'm like more fluid. I mean, I'm going to use that same word again.
Mhm. No, I think that's great, and this whole podcast for me sometimes is difficult because it's supposed to be queer questions, sacred answers, and that's what we try to focus on. But I find very often, when it comes to spirituality, that's the point of spirituality, is transcending beyond these limitations, right? So it's transcending beyond the limitations of male, female, gay, straight, bi, all these things. And very much so when we're trying to dissolve identity and attachment and ego and all of that kind of stuff, identity disappears. you know who am I a gay man, am I a gay white man, am I, this and that, and all these categories and names and labels and things. When you get to your luminous spirit or your soul or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't have any of those things. It transcends all of those things. So to me, to be sexually fluid, spiritually fluid, that just makes perfect sense.
Mhm. But then going back to the activism, I liked it in the sense that it allowed me to use my masculinity, where it's like, okay, I'm out in the street and I'm doing things. But then the feminine side of like things really got like diminished, because I was almost like in everybody's faces like this. It's like, okay, you have to believe what I have to believe, kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
that actually really like just didn't resonate with me. And I still like throw this out there, like right now is actually like what's going on, where the masculine is like dominating like everything, is what I'm seeing. It's like everybody's in everybody's faces about politics,
Mm-hmm.
religion, and also sexuality too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think those things do cross over. And I understand why we have to fight for our rights. I understand why we have to put it in some people's faces, but it's always felt difficult. It's always been difficult for me too, when it comes to putting stuff out there so vehemently or angrily or shouting and yelling and all of that. Again, I get it. I understand why we have to do it in a social and political sense, but I think that there's also other ways to do that. Like, I'm hoping, if even if it takes her to her deathbed, that my mother will finally see that ultimately I was a great person. And I can only do that by living a great life. I'm not going to do it by waving a rainbow flag in front of her window every morning, or saying, "We're here, we're queer, get used to it," or whatever. That just pushes her back into her cave and makes her hate my chosen lifestyle even more. So it's coming from my place of spirituality and knowing what I know about people, it's like, if you get really angry and shove things in their face, then they just hate you more half the time. And so
Right.
I can have my own silent protests. My protests are breaking away from all of the norms and being a crazy spiritual freak, like me enlightening and awakening myself and helping other people to heal and release traumas and all of that. That's how I protest. So.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to turn the table on you just a little bit. How has it
Do it.
been in New Orleans? It's like, do you find like the voodoo religion and also the practices like everybody talks about?
Um, Voodoo is actually taken a lot more serious down here than some people would give it credit for. There's the kit shops, that you can find like in the French Quarter and all of that, with the stupid, you know, play voodoo dolls, and there's always the caricatures of it everywhere, and you can go to Marie Laveau's old house and it's a magic shop and they've got all these different things and trinkets and this and that and that. But voodoo is almost like you were talking about in Chinese culture. Like everybody thinks it's all out there and in your face, but it's much more reserved. It's much more sacred and kept close to people. There are very serious practitioners out here. They do not shove anything in your face. You got to go find them. You know, you got to find them.
Oh, okay.
You got to go find them, and you got to work with them personally. And you have to show that you want to be a part of that path. There's also the same sort of thing that happens with like indigenous American cultures, where if you're not really born into it or you don't have that bloodline, certain groups of people will completely reject you and say, this is not for you. We can't let you into this tradition, you know? So especially like hoodoo out here, which is just like, it's such a combination of like the African island religions and different types of voodoo, and then American folk practices and some indigenous practices and all of that. It is very much American, and there are different interpretations of that or whatever. But those practices, they're a little more mixed, and they'll let people do, just come into it or whatever. It's also fascinating, though, the weird little things that people will do. A restaurant that my partner was working at, just because it's so much a part of the culture in New Orleans. Every single year, they would draw a line of salt around their restaurant and do a little ritual to like get out the bad energies and bring in the good energies. You know, people don't do that at, if you're opening up a McDonald's in California. Like nobody's gonna freaking do that. You know what I mean? And so it's like there are the serious practitioners, absolutely, but you got to seek them out. But also, it just seeps into the culture all around you, and people are doing weird stuff, and they know for a fact that there are spirits roaming around New Orleans all the damn time, because the history is just like layers upon layers upon layers out here. It's crazy. Also, we're below sea level, literally, on this land in the swamp. And so I think that really does something energetically. It's like way down here. It's very yin. There's a lot of hungry ghosts out here, my friend. Yeah.
No, I was just wondering because you know me, I wanted to sort of like head out there to visit like this year, but I decided not to financially.
No, absolutely. Anytime you want to come visit, I got space now. I have a nice big house now and awesome roommate. And so, anytime you want to come visit, it doesn't have to be Mardi Gras. People always think that Mardi Gras is like one day out of the year and it's this crazy celebration. It is weeks leading up to it and weeks after the actual celebration. You can always find some kind of parade. There's always like weird gay parties in some rich old gay couple's house where everybody dresses up and they've got like a jazz band playing in their living room. Like, holy Christ, it's insane. So,
Oh yeah.
You'd have a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, there is a friend of mine in South Africa that wants me to go out there just to participate in some of her stuff too. And she's been so like asking me, it's like, okay, but got to get back into doing more of the psychic the psychic healings and everything like that. One part of the practice that I used to do, is actually past life readings. We met like in one of the spiritual groups, and she really wanted me to focus on that with her community. But when I see something, it's like I really have like the feeling, or I really want like in a reading to help you guys move it. So it's like, okay, do I move it or do I just want you to move it by yourself type of situation? So I decided to sort of like just focus on the healing where I can actually help you guys like move like the energy. And that's what I told her. And then she hasn't contacted me this year because of like what's going on in South Africa. But I'm thinking about like doing like a African trip like next year too.
I'm sure that would be interesting, just to pick up on the energy and the spirits that are out there. And
Oh yeah.
when it comes to the ancestral linkages, I'm sure you'll find that the spirits out there have a completely different character.
Mhm.
That seems to be true for me, at least.
Yep.
Okay, so is there anything that you wanted to bring up that you wanted to address or talk about specifically in the work that you do, or for the queer community, or anything like that?
Work-wise, I would say right now I am like redesigning my website just to see how to fit this into my day job. I do have a day job too.
So do I. It's fine.
Most of my friends who know that I do both things actually laugh about this. My analytical side is insurance and also like financial planning, but the spiritual side, the the intuitive side is all about like energy healing and things like that. A while back, I tried to blend the two together, and I was told not to like do that by divinity, where it's like right now we have to keep it separate because of the fact that myself, I'm still having a little bit of issues with charging people for energy healing.
Mm,
And it's like,
mhm,
okay, how do I charge like my worth? Like all the education that I've gone through, it's like, how do I really like charge somebody because I really wanted to do this for free if I could, kind of thing.
mhm. Yeah, it's a big issue that always comes up with a lot of people that I talk to, and I've had the same issue in the past. The only way that I've been learning to do it now is more marketing strategies, and you can have one lane of people that you bring in and you do free healings for to get them interested. If they want to pay more, then they
Mhm.
can move on to the next level, and then you can have like a recurring thing where they sign up and you get a certain number of transmissions or healing work every month, and different things that you put out. It's a whole complicated mess. It has to turn into a actual business model, and that's
Mhm.
what I'm learning to do myself. And just I'll put my own plug in there for my own website. I'm redoing my website and figuring all that stuff out at the same time too. So hopefully, all these
Yeah,
connections will
you and I.
come to
So
fruition, and we'll do something good.
so I know there's only a few of us. Are you okay with like just a 5-minute demo?
With a what?
A 5-minute demo, or do you
Oh,
want to
sure.
close it out?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Is anybody still here?
Yeah, either Mark or JP could participate, or you could do it on me if you want to.
Oh, okay. You guys were off camera.
They're just off camera munching away.
Oh, okay. That's what we should be doing, right? Do you guys bring enough for all of us?
Do that.
So, so.
Astral sandwich.
Oh, okay. So let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna do this like by numbers. So the person that actually picks the number will get a, let's see, let's do a 5-minute healing. So let's do let's see, between 1 and 10. And Mark, what's that? Oh, none of you got the number.
5.
What's that?
I picked 9. JP had, what was it, 7? And
Okay.
Mark had 5.
I was gonna do like 8 because of like Chinese, but Marshall, Marshall, because you're the host, I'll actually pick one of the guys. Let's do it once more.
Pick
I'll
somebody.
probably take 5 minutes to do this. So let's redo this. Number between 1 and, let's see, 1 and 9 this time.
Uh-oh. Who, me?
Okay, guys. Yeah, no, you guys.
JP picked 2. I don't know if you can
Uh-huh.
see them.
Yep. How about Mark? Oh, Mark.
2 and 3.
Sorry, JP. Maybe next time.
It's all good. It should be Mark anyways. He's amazing.
Okay. Okay.
So amazing he needs healing.
So, so is there anything you want to work on like today?
What? How much time have you got?
we only said 5 minutes. I don't want to take all of like Marshall's time.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know like what to pick because like my stuff is big and it's not small. OCD.
Okay. And would you like a healing today?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, just a little bit of clarification is just the reason why I asked that is that we have to be in agreement for a healing, or I would be like, okay, moving energies that you actually don't want to be moved, or giving you a healing that you actually don't want, if that makes sense.
I think so. I mean, my my counselor does this type of thing with me anyway, so I'm
I'm
kind of
sorry?
like, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like used to all this stuff.
Oh, okay. And can you say your name 3 times for me? Full name.
Mark.
I'm sorry, full name.
Oh,
Oh, but if you don't want to, it's like it's fine.
I suppose because I have like issues with my full name as well.
Okay. Okay. No worries. I can actually already read what's going on. The first thing that I'm seeing is that there is like a feeling of unworthiness energy within your throat.
Yeah.
A lot of like in your throat where it's very like, okay, bounded. Like you can't speak your mind freely. And it's coming from I hear your mom a lot. And would you like that to be removed?
um, I guess so. I mean, why I say that is that I don't see how it could be removed, but and how it would change. But I'm open to I'm open to anything.
Mhm. So while you're saying that already, the energy is releasing. Is the unsureness that's causing like her to hold on, and you're holding on to her. It's just that when you sort of like say, okay, you want it to be, you're not sure, you're like holding on to it, but a little bit of it is already releasing, where it's actually her part that actually wants to go. And would you like for me to help you remove a little bit more of it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So I am seeing a past with your mom. It's like from this lifetime where it's just that you felt controlled a lot. And it's just that mom is like all over your space, and that's causing the OCD. It's like now I'm going to demonstrate like, okay, the matching picture that I actually had talked about earlier, because I have the same thing. By the way, mom is like in my space a lot. So I'm just going to help you clear a lot of mom's energy in your throat area. And this causes you not to be able to express yourself to basically like a lot of people around you. And it's also, again, the control that she actually has on you. There. There, I only removed like parts of it, help you remove parts of it, because there is a lot of resistance in letting her go as well. It's a feeling of if I let her energy go, she will not be around me too. And also like not accepting me too. So I'm just going to leave a lot of that alone. So I'm going to just move on to the next spot in regards to CD. And also mom too. Oh, excuse me. So I'm just going to move down to your heart chakra. With your heart chakra, there is like um, an energy, and it has actually caused a crack in your fourth chakra. This one's from an um, your dad. Yeah, it's from your dad, and it's actually creating like a void in your heart chakra, which causes like a lot of like other energies to like just pretty much like attack your heart chakra, and that's actually where the OCD sometimes comes in, where you're like unable to like accept yourself and also like love yourself too.
Yeah, I'm just processing it.
Mhm.
Um, it's a possibility. I don't, because like my dad was very passive.
Mhm.
So and then whenever I tried to communicate with him, it would end up in arguments.
Yeah.
So I would draw back. So apart from him providing, being the provider, I would choose that he would have a passive role in my life.
Mhm. And no, I didn't so like mention the argument because of the fact that it was more personal, and I'm actually seeing it too. But it's actually one in particular that I'm not going to so like describe, but you probably know it already like intuitively which one it was. So I just asked your spirit if it's okay to remove like again parts of that, and you said yes. And I'm saying part of it because you're stating that you don't want again to remove the complete energy of your dad. And what I'm doing is just repairing the crack in your chakra. There. You were ready to release dad. So dad is really gone from your fourth chakra, but you may feel a little bit of the rapid heartbeat. Because it may be a little bit of like missing energy that is like right there of that, but it's actually gone. He actually sort of like said, okay, bye kind of thing, like bye kind of thing. And you actually sort of like did the same thing, by the way.
So yeah, I am actually on that sort of path because he's got dementia now,
uh,
and I know it sounds cruel, but I can't wait for him to go.
okay. And just let me see one other spot that's actually calling my attention. Um, it's actually um, the seventh not the seventh chakra, but the seventh layer of your aura. It's actually how people see you. There is like a almost like a slit going through like it's actually almost to the point where it's between your waist, so your torso, between your kind of like yeah, is between your waist and also your armpits, like right there, like where your rib area on the right hand side, there is like always like pain. And there's a slit that is like right there. So people don't really see you as much as you want them to. So I'm just actually seeing what happened there as well. It's a fear
Mhm.
energy that is like coming up like right now. It's actually you don't want people to see you. So it's almost like it's a slit that you actually created so people won't see you, but the energy is like moving into your spiritual body.
So, to explain that,
Mhm.
the other members of my family are narcissists.
Mhm.
So when I was young, I learned that it was easy just to be the wallflower and
Mhm.
to be invisible.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm asking your spirit if you want that repaired, and you said no. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And what you may want to do is just ask divinity if you actually believe in divinity to help you repair it when you're ready. And I say divinity just meaning like any type of like higher beings that you actually believe in that resonates with you.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's actually my time is up. Let me just do a quick like removal of my own energy from you. And what I'm going to do is fill you in with worthiness. And filling you in just means that you're not going to be walking around with holes in your body where we actually release like energy. And with the blessing of divinity, may this healing with Mark be complete. Amen. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So one other thing, you may want to drink a little bit more water throughout the day, just because energy, when it releases, it may actually cause a little bit dehydration too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for that demonstration. That was a powerful experience. Yeah, I'm really happy to have learned exactly what it is, the kind of stuff that you do. It reminds me of some other healing methods that I've seen through the years, and so completely different from the stuff that I do. So it's really interesting to get that juxtaposition. I'm
Okay.
sometimes I call it just an energy bender. I don't see stuff. I don't see people's things necessarily. I'm like, okay, here it is. I can feel this blockage. Let me blast it with energy, and I can get rid of it that way. But it's all energy based, and it's all feeling based. Like that's where my intuitive and psychic sense comes in. I feel the stuff. I don't see the stuff. I don't hear the things. That's where it is. So everybody's got different talents and abilities, and all of that comes up.
It's like Mark stated, if you want to hear more about that, it's just that I have like, the whole entire day because I get all five senses.
Nice.
It's like it's kind of like, again, it's sometimes like it was at some points like very trying because of the fact that I got all five like clairs like open, things like
Mhm.
that.
I have claircognizance where I'll just suddenly know things. I get that, so I have that higher sense, but very rarely it'll be images. I only get images if I'm doing like shamanic journeying, and so it's a very tight space. Everything is very clearly defined, and I'm actively in trance. Okay, well, I think that's our time for today. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your work with us and your ideas and opinions and thoughts on all of the things. So that was a really cool one. Thank you for taking the time today to speak with me and to do a little healing session. That's actually the first time anybody's demonstrated their work on this. So I'm glad that we got there because I do want to start doing that more. So I'd love to have you. Love to have you come back again. What's your website, just so we know contact info?
Actually, I'm working on my website. I took it down, but it's
Oh, okay.
just I'm thinking I am Philip is the only thing I can think of. I am Philip.com.
I love
Philip
it.
with one L.
1L. Got it. Do you prefer Chong or Chang?
It's Chang.
Okay.
It's
All right.
like, I'll tell you a little bit more about that next time.
All right. We'll get into that. I'm a stickler for pronunciation, so just had to ask.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will see you again next time, guys. I'd love to have you come back on.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.